everyone. Welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer or food maker selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Catt White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Today's episode was recorded live in Rome, Italy, where Catt was a delegate to the World Farmers Market Coalition's first General Assembly.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by MarketWurks, the online platform for farmers market management created by Chris Quinlan and his team. Chris is a founding member of Canadian farmers markets and a supporter of the World Farmers Market Coalition. He was on the scene in Rome with us, as he is at most conferences and gatherings of farmers market operators. For more information on how to improve your market workflow, click the MarketWurks logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com. Welcome to today's episode. Recorded in Rome, yes, Rome, Italy, at the first General Assembly of the World Farmers Market Coalition. Delegates at the assembly officially elected Richard McCarthy as the president of the Rome-based nonprofit organization with a mission to cultivate and promote intentional, managed farmers markets. Those of you who attended the Intense conference last year probably remember Richard's speech and the fabulous flag that we all held up. The event was hosted by Coldiretti, the largest farmers market association in Europe, and Campagna Amica, Italy's organized farmers market network. Their yellow tents are found all over Italy. With cooperation from FOA, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, along with Norway's Bonden Market and Denmark's Grønt Market, and the Italian organizations, the coalition launched with membership that includes more than 60 market associations from over 50 countries, representing some 20,000 farmers markets. That's a lot of markets, and there were a lot of people at this gathering. During the 4-day gathering, delegates elected the president and a board that represents 6 continents. Apparently, we couldn't find anyone from Antarctica. We will contact local penguins and see if we can remedy that. We each reported on the state of markets in our various countries. I was honored to represent North America with a short report and an observation that very consistent federal policies like Italy's are not the norm in our large, independently minded and governed country and industry. Yes, we're the cowboys. Our days at the General Assembly included panels, presentations, speeches. We had wine and olive oil tastings. It's Italy after all. We visited a farm. We had abundant lunches featuring heirloom food purveyors of the Circo Maximo Farmers Market, which is where we held many of the meetings. You would not believe the amount of porchetta consumed. New friendships and alliances were forged in an environment where our differences were far exceeded by our common dedication to strengthening local food systems, shortening food chains, preserving biodiversity, and protecting small farmers. It's what we all do. On the 3rd day of the assembly, delegates assembled in the trademark yellow tents of Campagna Amico. We displayed market foods brought from countries all around the world. I ate fluffy sea kelp, I ate fruit roll-ups from Turkey, sour pomegranate juice, and vegetables that even I couldn't identify, and I'm a farmers market manager. The energy level clearly rose during this segment as we all wandered and talked and sampled. We had tastes of Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, and the Americas in tents where we're comfortable. I got a chance to chat with New Coalition President Richard McCarthy and Eating to Extinction author Dan Saladino about markets and some of the many ways they're important. That's where the live recordings start. Listen in. Richard, why is it important to pop tents at this assembly?
Well, if you pop tents, what you put underneath them are the people and the products and the connection between the two that we in farmers markets all over the world make biodiversity, make local food, make the dignity of the labor of local families who produce the food part of our everyday lives.
And I think it's so perfect that we're not just in meetings, we're not just voting, but we're reminding people, and this enormous amount of press that Italy has brought out about what a market really does and what it looks like.
And what's so interesting about that is the Italian press and the international UN agencies who are here say, oh, we know markets. We already have markets. What's so special about that? Well, our point of view is that markets that are managed, that have a mission, and that they are held accountable to that mission, and that they don't just happen, but they are purposeful interventions, is different from the markets that just may happen to have always been here. So our work is very future-driven. It's very intentional. the farmers market movement is very ultimately political.
Absolutely. Dan, what can farmers markets do to keep us from eating to extinction?
Well, I think the big problem we all face wherever we are in the world now is a disconnect from food and farming, where it comes from. The food producers who are still out there creating amazing, ingenious, delicious foods. And markets are the perfect platform, the showcase really of the diversity that still exists. And that ancient experience of just being able to mingle as part of a community and to see and to touch and to smell and to taste the food. So I think markets are the essential component in helping us reconnect with food, learn the stories of diversity, and be the co-producers, the people who are there meeting, greeting and buying food from the people behind it.
We call it a gateway drug too. If you actually taste fresh food and the real types of food that haven't been created or hybridized in order to ship well or store well, if they're grown for taste, that gets people's hooked. It's the what's in it for me thing.
It's becoming a rare experience to be able to taste the food that's in season, that's fresh. And as you say, it's the diversity that's disappeared because of these global supply chains. This is why the message should be loud and clear. Find your local farmers market and have that experience again.
Dr. Tiago Gomide Nasser of Brazil represents the Americas on the new coalition board of directors. The co-founder and CEO of Junta Local, he's also a hands-on market manager, and he shared some interesting things about the way Brazilian markets in Rio operate. So now we're talking with
Tiago Nasser from Junta Local from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Rio de Janeiro. Probably more fun than Rome.
A different kind of fun.
Different kind of fun. So you've actually physically managed farmers markets, right?
Yes.
Do you still do that?
We still do that, yes.
So you've hauled a barricade, you've popped a tent.
Exactly. When you said that yesterday, I immediately saw myself barricades, putting up tents, running from the authorities sometimes, that kind of thing.
So when you say authorities, who regulates farmers markets in Brazil?
That's the thing. The city, the mayor does, but the regulations are really outdated and it changes all the time. So it's a huge challenge to actually get our farmers markets running, because sometimes the regulations, they're very strict and they were intended for bigger events and not for farmers markets, which have their host of characteristics. So sometimes we try to get the permits from the city, but it's almost impossible to get them. So sometimes you have to
find guerrilla markets.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
it.
So a little like pirates,
right?
Yeah,
pirates are good.
We embrace that, and today we've been embraced a little bit more by the city, and we're trying to work with them to create special regulations, more support, but it's still a gray area situation.
Yeah, work in progress.
Yeah.
Do the permits make things financially, does that create financial barriers for the small farmers and vendors?
Exactly, because for example, for each market, each vendor should have a permit, but we have a system that the vendors are changing all the time, because you have to be very flexible, because some of them don't go every week and they have already enough costs with logistics, transportation. So if for each market they need to pay for a permit, that almost makes it financially impossible for them.
Yeah.
So we have a system that we get a permit, sort of an umbrella permit for everyone, and then we work with the authorities to make sure each vendor is following guidelines, food safety guidelines as much as possible. And that situation, yeah.
So now you've accepted a position on the board,
Yes.
the initial first board of the World Farmers Market Coalition. We know that farmers market managers and operators are so busy.
Yes.
Why do you think it's important to take time away from what you're doing in Brazil to serve on this board?
First of all, because the challenges are common. Like everything I've been listening the last couple days is like these challenges are common. So it makes sense to advocate and to try to think how we can work together to make our lives easier. So that market operators have the appropriate recognition they deserve. This is hard work, and if this work isn't supported, our food systems are not going to change. We need to sort of parlay in like our local strengths at a global level as well, because I think that can help us
Amplify
locally.
our voices, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for representing the Americas on
Thank
that
you. I'll
board.
try to do my best. That's a big plate.
Thanks, Tia.
Throughout the General Assembly, I encountered Tent Talk listeners. It was incredibly fun to have people tap me on the shoulder and say, I recognize your voice. I listen to your podcast. It was a fun reminder of how wide a reach our Little Market podcast has. And interestingly, how many people we really help. It was really exciting to hear people tell me about a problem they'd solved from listening to this episode, or how they tuned in when a new problem pops up. Jonna Walker from New Zealand and Gerda Zilstra from the Netherlands both told me how they listen.
Hi, I'm John O'Walker. I have a farm in New Zealand called Soggy Bottom, and I listen to Tent Talks when I'm working in my butchery making sausages and bacon and pies.
And does Tent Talk make them taste better?
Oh, absolutely. It passes the time beautifully.
Great. And then do you take them to a farmer's
I
market?
take them to a farmer's market and sell them each weekend.
Which market?
On Saturdays at Cambridge Farmers Market and on Sundays at Hamilton Farmers Market, which is central North Island. And both have been voted as New Zealand's best farmers market just recently.
Lovely. We're going to have to come see you and taste some of those wonderful things. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Gerda Zelstra from the Netherlands.
Ah, from the Netherlands. Wonderful. Where in the Netherlands?
We live and work in Rotterdam, in the city of Rotterdam.
And how are you connected to farmers markets?
I organize a farmers market, started in 2009. So for 14 years already.
And you told me you listened to Tent Talk. What kind of things have you picked up from Tent Talk?
I discovered Tent Talk only recently. And it turns out that there's an episode about all of my problems. So when I'm stuck, like thinking about how to say goodbye to one of my stall holders, there's an episode about it, and I do the dishes, and I learn a lot. So I thought it was fantastic. So thank you.
Lovely. That's wonderful. So which markets do you organize?
I organize one market. It's called Rotterdamse Oogst.
So when I come to Rotterdam, I can come see you, yes?
You have to.
Absolutely.
Randy Jersten from Norway's Bonden Market has been a follower of Tent Talk for ages, and she's virtually attended the Intense Conference. She and her organization have been very actively involved in the formation of the World Farmers Market Coalition, and she now serves on the inaugural board of directors.
What's your name?
Randi Gjertsen,
And what organization are you with?
the Farmers Market of Norway.
Excellent. But you call it something else? Bonden Market.
Yeah,
Yes?
we call it something else in Norwegian.
And you're a board member now, an initial board member of the World's Farmers Market Coalition. So I'm guessing you're busy at Bonden Market. What makes you want to add one more thing to your day, to your weekly group of tasks, and be involved with this big organization?
Actually, because I see that all the energy we have in all these markets in all over the world, they need to know about each other, because then we can release even more energy, because we have so much in common, and we have also so many of the challenges in common. And that is one of the reasons why I have been listening to the Tent Talks, because it was the story about all the markets we have and all the experiences we've had in Norway, and very much of it is also common to what we have seen in Norway.
I'm always so amazed to find that out, whether I travel or I talk to people on the podcast or whatever, that we get new perspectives from each other, but the incredible thing is how much we have in common.
Yeah.
Our job is weird all over the world.
It is. So I always laugh when I see these funny stories in Instagram about the market manager's life, and I pass it on to the market managers in Norway.
That's great. Do you think the World's Farmers Market Coalition will give us a way to amplify our voice and maybe make people take us as organizers and markets as a source of groceries more seriously?
Absolutely. And I think already just by establishing this coalition, we have proved that, because so many of these VIP people who normally wears suits and go to important meetings, and they're talking about the food system, but they don't know it. But they listen actually to us now, because we have been able to organize ourselves together in this community. So I think that it's because of all the different crises in the world. The climate for the debate about the food is changing. And I think that the farmers markets, we have so much experience and we have so much competence among the members. And when we join it together, the force will be very good, so we will be able to achieve much more in common.
I think so too. Thank you for being here and contributing your voice to make us a bigger voice.
Thank you.
Finally, I chatted with who else? The equivalent of the farmers market manager for this gathering, Christina Ermelio. Countless hours and thousands of emails later, she seemed pretty happy and a little relieved about how things had gone. Isn't that exactly how we each feel at the end of our market day? So I know a lot of our listeners know how hard it is to pull together an event, bringing farmers from all over, maybe your county, maybe even outside the county into the state. Try it with people from all over the world. This is Christina. Christina, what's your last name?
Ermelio.
And what organization are you with?
World Farmers Markets Coalition.
And Christina has been the mastermind behind getting everybody together here in one place, and it's really an incredible group. What was the biggest challenge?
I think, honestly, probably the visas were the hardest part, but I am so glad because many of our members were able to get them and made it here, so I can't complain.
It's so amazing. How many countries do you know?
We have almost 50 countries here.
Incredible. Yeah, it's been so amazing to see different perspectives, but also really incredible how much we have in common. Did you expect that?
I did, and well, I will say that I've been unbelievably shocked to just watch people from all over the world just walk and suddenly chat with somebody else who they've never met, probably from a place they knew, but they'd never met anyone before, and just could enter into conversation so easily. There was none of the awkwardness. It was immediate friendships, immediate conversation, so much to relate about. So I really, that was the most beautiful thing for me. And it's why I'm totally okay putting in this effort, because honestly, this was the beauty of this event, was bringing people together from around the world. We have one large community of farmers market lovers, and that's the whole idea.
It's very amazing. Did you work in connection with farmers markets at all before you started this job?
I did. I used to bake bread and sell it at farmers markets in New York City for many years. And I actually was woofing, which is a type of organic farming, and I did that as well, and sold in farmers markets in Italy as well many years ago. So I've always had them as part of my life, and I actually wrote my thesis about Campagna Mica. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. You speak Italian?
I do.
Yes. What other languages?
I speak French, but it's been a while, so that language, and I studied Arabic for a little bit, but that's completely out of my mind. And now I'm trying to learn Spanish also, because it's important. I think of language learning as it's going to be a process through my entire life. There's always some new language to learn, and especially with this coalition, to be able to communicate is so important.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So visas were maybe the hardest. Was there anything that was easier than you expected?
I think it can be really intimidating reaching out to people from all over the world, and it was so surprisingly really easy. To think that, again, like we all have this baseline where it was so nice to just be able to know, like, oh, we all care about something at a baseline. Very, very simple. For me, I think that was probably something unexpected for me, because I was nervous about, I'm an outgoing person, but at the same time, like, trying to be respectful and aware of different cultures. It was amazing to me to just see, like, oh, like, people are just so willing to be flexible and they want to come. And so I was worried about, like, trying to get people here, but it was actually like everybody wanted to come.
Everybody was eager to come. Yeah, we know we have been so delighted to be here. Are you going to work on the next one? Are you going to plan the next one?
Probably. We don't know where it will be, so that'll be exciting.
I thought I'd trick you into saying where it was going to be. We get a scoop, but now nobody seems to know where it'll be next.
I have no idea what will be next. Right now, I'm so gung ho on making sure everybody gets home safely, and so then that's my first priority. And then once we do that, I take a break, and then we kick off for the next.
How long did it take you to put this one together? When did you start?
I guess we really got started in January, February. So
which is not much time, really. No. Yeah, here we are in May. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You ran an amazing event for somebody that puts on conferences. I know how much goes into this, much less an international one where you're also managing travel. And I have to tell you, you and your team were incredible. To keep up on what's next for the World Farmers Market Coalition, stay tuned to Tent Talk and watch our email newsletters. We'll be providing updates on the ways you can get involved, and maybe we'll solve the mystery of where the next General Assembly's going to be. Thanks for listening today, and big thanks to our sponsor, MarketWurks, for streamlining market management operations and for supporting Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. For more information, click the MarketWurks logo on the resource page at farmersmarketpros.com.
Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Connect with fellow farmers market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. Also, follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros and find online education and other resources at our website, farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit.